The Financial Crisis of 2008 by Thomas K. Spillman. November 14th, 2012. Everyone knows that we, as a nation, experienced some kind of a financial crisis recently, but in many cases, knowledge about what exactly happened is a little fuzzy. It all began in 2007, though its effects weren't widely felt until more than a full year later in 2008. As far as theories go about why this happened, there are enough to keep you reading for the rest of your life. The purpose of this piece is to simply tell what events did occur and bring about the recent recession. This event is widely associated with the housing crisis, and with good reason. Much of this began with the housing industry. Leading up to 2007, the economy was booming, especially in the housing industry. According to Paulo Miranda of Purdue University Calumet, from 1998 to 2006, the average value of home rose by approximately 180%. Housing prices were rising like never before, and yet people were buying them like never before. Banks were approving high-risk mortgages to individuals who didn't really have the means to pay them back. They expected having to write off some of these mortgages due to people defaulting, but they did not expect such a vast number to default as did. Banks were left with so many houses to repossess that it was actually cheaper just to write them off entirely than to pay for property taxes, the routine upkeep, and the realtor to try to sell the house, especially in a market about to go from boom to bust. This was a huge loss of assets and capital for the banks, so they now had to be extremely selective about whom they were willing to lend to, and that included businesses. Many businesses were denied loans, depriving them of funds with which to grow their firm. Businesses started shrinking, and layoffs were inevitable. Banks weren't lending, businesses weren't growing, so naturally, people stopped spending. Those who lost their jobs didn't have the means to be spending like they once did, and those that kept their jobs also weren't spending like they once did because of the financial uncertainties they faced. According to Nobel Prize economist Paul Krugman, this is the first time in a long time that we haven't seen enough private spending to make use of our nation's capacity for production. Now, all these houses that had values inflating at incredible rates were suddenly devaluing in a big way. People who mortgaged homes with the prospect of them appreciating in value over several years were suddenly left with something far less the value of the mortgage. So why would they keep paying the mortgage? Many didn't, defaulting on the mortgage instead, leaving the banks with even bigger losses. A lack of spending from people caused an even further decline of businesses, and more losses for the banks lessened the chance of any funding financial growth. We were left with a vicious cycle in which each problem was fuel to the flame of the other problems. If you would like to learn more about the Great Financial Crisis and others that have happened in the past throughout the world, please see the following article by Reinhardt and Rogoff. Until next time, this is Tom Spillman saying, thanks for listening.